Story 2. Creepy Neighbors. Mrs. Henderson bakes cookies for everyone on Maple Street, except the cookies never cool down, and no one remembers eating them. I moved to Maple Street 6 months ago, thinking I'd found the perfect suburban neighborhood. Tree-lined sidewalks, well-maintained lawns, the kind of place where neighbors wave to each other and kids ride their bikes until the streetlights come on. After years of cramped city apartments with paper-thin walls, it felt like paradise. The realtor had mentioned that the previous owner left suddenly, some kind of family emergency, but the price was too good to pass up. A 3-bedroom house with a basement office for my freelance graphic design work. I signed the papers without a second thought. Mrs. Henderson introduced herself on my second day. She was exactly what you'd picture when someone says sweet elderly neighbor. Silver hair in a neat bun, floral apron, the scent of vanilla and cinnamon following her wherever she went. She brought over a plate of chocolate chip cookies, still warm from the oven. "Welcome to the neighborhood, dear," she said with a grandmotherly smile. "I live right next door, so if you need anything at all, just knock." The cookies were incredible. Perfectly soft, with just the right amount of chocolate chips. I devoured 3 of them while we chatted about the neighborhood. She told me about the Johnsons across the street, married 40 years, loved gardening, the young couple next to them expecting their first baby, and the retired teacher at the end of the block, kept to himself but was harmless. "Such a lovely, quiet street," she said. "We all look out for each other here." Over the next few weeks, Mrs. Henderson became a regular fixture in my life. She'd appear at my door every few days with fresh baked goods. Cookies, muffins, banana bread, always still warm from the oven. And they were always perfect. Not just good, perfect. Like they came from some idealized grandmother's kitchen that only existed in commercials. I started jogging in the mornings and I'd see her tending to her garden. She'd wave and call out, "Morning, dear. Don't forget to stop by later. I'm making snickerdoodles." The weird thing was, her garden never seemed to change. Same flowers, same arrangement, same level of bloom. In a neighborhood where everyone else's yards shifted with the seasons, hers remained frozen in permanent spring. But I was busy settling in, starting new client projects, and honestly, who questions free homemade cookies? It wasn't until month 3 that I started paying attention to the patterns. Mrs. Henderson baked every single day. Not just occasionally, every day. The smell of fresh cookies would drift over the fence like clockwork. 2 p.m. sharp. And she'd always bring some over within the hour. I began keeping track. Monday, chocolate chip. Tuesday, oatmeal raisin. Wednesday, sugar cookies. Thursday, snickerdoodles. Friday, double chocolate. Saturday, peanut butter. Sunday, molasses. The same rotation. Every week. For 12 weeks straight. And they were always warm. Not reheated warm, oven warm. Like she timed her baking perfectly to my schedule, even though I never told her when I'd be home. One afternoon, I decided to surprise her. I saw the familiar plume of oven smoke rising from her chimney and smelled the telltale scent of chocolate chip cookies. Instead of waiting for her to bring some over, I walked to her front door and knocked. No answer. I could hear the oven timer beeping inside, but no footsteps. No movement at all. I knocked louder. "Mrs. Henderson? It's Mike from next door." Still nothing. The timer kept beeping, and beeping, and beeping. Concerned, I tried the door handle. It was unlocked. "Mrs. Henderson? Are you okay?" I stepped inside, calling out as I made my way toward the kitchen. The house was immaculate, not just clean but sterile. Like a museum exhibit of what a grandmother's house should look like. Doilies on every surface. Floral wallpaper. The scent of vanilla and cinnamon so strong it was almost overwhelming. In the kitchen, the oven timer was still beeping. Through the oven window, I could see a tray of chocolate chip cookies, perfectly golden brown. But Mrs. Henderson was nowhere to be found. I turned off the timer and looked around. Everything was pristine. No dirty dishes. No flour on the counters. No sign that anyone had been baking at all except for the cookies in the oven. That's when I noticed the calendar on the refrigerator. Every single day had the same entry, "Bake cookies for Mike." Not just the current month. I flipped back. Months and months of the same entry. Including dates from before I'd even moved in. My hands were shaking as I flipped to the very first page. January 1st, 2 years ago, "Bake cookies for Mike." But I didn't live here 2 years ago. I didn't even know the street existed 2 years ago. I heard the front door open. "Mike, dear, are you in there?" Mrs. Henderson's voice, cheerful as always. I quickly closed the calendar and called out, "Sorry, Mrs. Henderson. I was worried when you didn't answer." The timer was going off. She appeared in the kitchen doorway, smiling that same grandmotherly smile. "Oh, how thoughtful of you. I was just in the garden. Didn't hear it over the sprinklers." But here's the thing, I'd looked out at her garden from the kitchen window. No sprinklers. And the ground was completely dry. "Well," she continued, putting on oven mitts, "perfect timing. These are ready." She pulled out the tray of cookies. "Still warm, just how you like them." I took the offered plate, but something felt wrong. The cookies were warm, yes, but they felt strange. Too perfect. like they were made of some synthetic material designed to mimic real cookies. "Mrs. Henderson," I said carefully, "how long have you lived here?" "Oh goodness, let me think. 40 years? 50? Time flies when you're happy. And you've always baked?" "Every day," she said proudly. "It's what keeps me young. That and taking care of my neighbors." I was about to ask another question when I noticed something that made my blood freeze. On the kitchen counter, there was a framed photo of Mrs. Henderson with a young man. They were standing in front of this very house and she looked exactly the same as she did now. But the photo was clearly old. The clothing, the hairstyles, the faded color quality all screamed 1970s or early 80s. "Is that your son?" I asked, pointing to the photo. Her smile faltered for just a moment. That's my Mike. Such a sweet boy. He loved my cookies." "What happened to him?" The smile disappeared entirely. "He moved away. Said he needed space. Needed to find himself." Her voice turned bitter. Ungrateful children never appreciate what they have. I looked closer at the photo. The young man looked familiar, but I couldn't place why. "Well," she said, the smile snapping back into place like a mask, "I should let you get back to your work. Don't forget to finish those cookies while they're warm." I left her house with more questions than answers, and that night I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I researched the property records for her house. What I found made no sense. According to county records, Mrs. Martha Henderson had owned the house from 1962 to 1981. But in 1981 she was declared dead. Natural causes. Buried at Restwood Cemetery. The house had been sold to her son, Michael Henderson, who lived there until 1983. Then the property records got weird. Michael Henderson was reported missing. His car was found in the driveway, keys still in the ignition, but he was never seen again. The house had sat empty for years, changing hands multiple times. Previous owners never lasted long. Always moved away suddenly, usually citing uncomfortable feelings or strange occurrences. But here's the part that made me sick to my stomach. I found Michael Henderson's missing person report. It included a photo. It was me, not someone who looked like me. It was literally me. Same face, same hair, same everything. The only difference was the clothing and the photo quality that screamed early 1980s. I stared at that photo for hours trying to make sense of it. Family resemblance? Coincidence? But no, it was too exact. It was like looking at a picture of myself taken 40 years ago. The next morning, Mrs. Henderson knocked on my door at exactly 2 p.m. with a plate of chocolate chip cookies. "Good afternoon, Mike," she said, but something was different about her voice. More possessive. "I made your favorites." "Mrs. Henderson," I said carefully, "I need to ask you about your son." Her expression went cold. "I don't have a son anymore." "What happened to Michael?" "Michael was ungrateful. Michael wanted to leave. Michael didn't appreciate everything I did for him." Her voice was getting higher, more agitated. "But you're different, aren't you, Mike? You appreciate the cookies. You appreciate having someone who cares about you. I'm not your son." She laughed, but it wasn't a pleasant sound. "Oh dear. You're confused. It happens sometimes. The transition can be difficult." "What transition?" "From your old life to your new one. From loneliness to having someone who loves you unconditionally." She stepped closer. "I take care of you, Mike. I bake for you every day. I watch over you. I make sure you never want for anything." I backed away from her. "I'm not Michael Henderson." "You will be," she said simply. "It just takes time." The others fought it too at first, but eventually they all became my Mike. And they were so much happier. Others? The Mike from 1975. The Mike from 1989. The Mike from 2003. The Mike from 2018. She counted on her fingers like she was reciting a grocery list. They all looked just like you. They all loved my cookies. They all became perfect sons, until they tried to leave. I felt like I was going to throw up. What happened to them? "They're still here," she said, smiling that grandmother smile again. "In the basement. Would you like to meet them?" I slammed the door in her face and immediately started packing. Whatever was happening on Maple Street, I wanted no part of it. But when I tried to start my car, it wouldn't turn over. The engine was completely dead. I called a tow truck, but when they arrived, the driver said something that chilled me to the bone. Weird thing about cars on this street. They break down a lot. Previous owner of your house went through the same thing. And the one before him. And the one before him. That night I barely slept. Every time I started to drift off, I'd smell vanilla and cinnamon drifting through the vents. And once, around 3 a.m., I swear I heard someone humming a lullaby in my kitchen. In the morning, I found a plate of cookies on my kitchen counter. My doors were all locked. My windows were all closed. But there they were, still warm. And next to them, a note in spidery handwriting. "Welcome home, Michael. Mother loves you." I've been researching ways to break whatever hold she has on this place, but it's hard to concentrate. The smell of baking cookies is constant now, day and night. And I keep finding plates of them everywhere. My office, my bedroom, even my shower. Yesterday, I tried to call a paranormal investigator, but my phone keeps dialing Mrs. Henderson's number instead. And this morning, I woke up to find my ID had changed. My driver's license, my credit cards, even my birth certificate. They all say Michael Henderson now. The worst part? I'm starting to forget my real name. But I remember loving chocolate chip cookies. Always have. Even as a little boy, when mother used to bake them every day at 2 p.m. sharp. Would you stay if someone loved you this much? Even if that love came with a price? Story 1: Workplace Horror. I should have quit the moment I found the notebook hidden in the cash register. Let me rewind and tell you how it really started. 3 months ago, I took a night shift job at Murphy's gas station on Route 47. You know the type, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, coffee that tastes like motor oil, and the kind of customers who only show up after midnight. I needed the money. College loans don't pay themselves and day jobs were scarce in our small town. The manager, Carl, was this heavy-set guy in his 50s who always smelled like cigarettes and regret. During my training, he walked me through the basics. Stock the coolers, clean the bathrooms, watch for shoplifters. Standard stuff. But then he pulled out this worn leather notebook from under the register. "This stays here," he said, his voice unusually serious. "Previous shifts left notes about unusual customers. Just read through it if anything weird happens." I laughed it off. What could be weird about a gas station? The first few weeks were exactly what you'd expect. Truckers grabbing energy drinks. Teenagers buying condoms they were too embarrassed to purchase during the day. The occasional drunk stumbling in for cigarettes. Nothing that required consulting a mysterious notebook. But then October hit and everything changed. It started with the 3 a.m. regular. Every night at exactly 3:17 a.m., this woman would walk in. Tall, thin, wearing the same faded blue dress every single time. She never spoke. Never made eye contact. She'd walk straight to the back cooler, grab a bottle of water and place exact change on the counter. $1.47. Always exact change. The weird part? She never drank the water. She'd open it, pour it out in the parking lot, and throw the empty bottle in the trash. Then she'd disappear into the darkness beyond the streetlights. After the 5th night of this routine, I finally opened Carl's notebook. The first entry made my blood run cold. October 3rd, blue dress woman appeared again. Tommy, previous night clerk, says she's been coming for 2 years. Never speaks. Always 3:17 a.m. Check the security tapes from 2019. She looks exactly the same. Haven't aged a day. I flipped through more pages. Different handwriting. Different years. She knows when you're watching her. Don't make eye contact. Tried following her once. She just vanished near the tree line. Found her high school yearbook photo at the library. Sarah Chin. Died in 1987. My hands were shaking as I read that last entry. I grabbed the security monitor and rewound to 3:17 a.m. from the night before. There she was, clear as day, following her exact routine. But when I looked at the timestamp, it showed 3:17 a.m. from October 15th, 1987. The system was displaying footage from 36 years ago. I called Carl immediately. "You read the notebook," he said before I could speak. "Carl, what the hell is this? The timestamps are all wrong and—" "Listen to me very carefully," he interrupted. "Don't engage with her. Don't speak to her. Don't follow her. Just let her do her thing and she'll leave you alone." "But Carl? And whatever you do, don't try to give her the wrong change. Others have tried. It doesn't end well." He hung up. The next night I waited. 3:16 a.m. I could feel my heart pounding. The fluorescent lights seemed dimmer than usual. The coffee maker was making these strange gurgling sounds it had never made before. 3:17 a.m. The door chime rang, but I never saw it open. She was just there, standing by the cooler like she'd materialized from thin air. Same blue dress. Same routine. But this time, when she approached the counter, she looked directly at me. Her eyes were completely black. Not just the pupils, everything. Like staring into 2 deep holes in her face, she placed the money on the counter. But instead of $1.47, there were 4 quarters and a crumpled piece of paper. I didn't want to touch it. Every instinct screamed at me to run. But something compelled me to unfold that paper. In shaky handwriting, it read, "Help me find my way home." I looked up, but she was gone. The bottle of water sat unopened on the counter. I grabbed the notebook and flipped to the back pages I hadn't read yet. If she ever gives you a note, you have 24 hours to figure out what happened to her. Others tried to ignore it. They disappeared. Check the missing persons reports. The next entry was in different handwriting. Mark disappeared after ignoring her note. Found his car in the parking lot, keys still in the ignition. No sign of struggle. Police found nothing. Another entry. Jessica lasted 3 days after getting the note. Security footage shows her walking out of the store at 3:17 a.m. on the 4th day. Never came back. I spent the entire next day at the library, digging through old newspaper archives. Finally found it. Local high school student dies in car accident. October 15, 1987. Sarah Chin, 17 years old, crashed her car into a tree on Route 47. She was driving home from her job at Murphy's gas station. The accident happened at 3:17 a.m. But here's the part that made my skin crawl. According to the report, her body was never found. The car was empty when first responders arrived. They assumed she'd been thrown from the vehicle, but extensive searches turned up nothing. That night, I waited for her with sweating palms and a printout of the newspaper article. 3:17 a.m. She appeared. This time she spoke. Her voice was like wind through dead leaves. "You found me, Sarah," I whispered. "You crashed on Route 47. October 15, 1987. She nodded slowly. I was driving home from work. So tired. The rain made everything slippery. "What do you need?" "I need to clock out." Her black eyes fixed on mine. "I never clocked out. I've been trying to get home for 36 years, but I can't leave until I clock out." I looked at the ancient time clock on the wall. It was one of those old punch card systems from the 80s. I'd assumed it was just decoration. "Show me," I said. She walked to the time clock and pointed at a card that was still in the slot. Sarah Chin, October 15, 87. Her time card from the night she died. With trembling hands, I pulled the card out and looked at it. She'd clocked in at 11 p.m. No clock out time. I inserted the card and hit the punch button. The sound echoed through the empty store like a gunshot. When I turned around, she was smiling for the first time. A real human smile. "Thank you," she whispered and faded away like morning mist. I thought that was the end of it. I really did. But when I checked the notebook the next morning, there was a new entry. In my own handwriting. But I don't remember writing it. Sarah's gone, but the 3:17 a.m. slot is now open. Someone else will fill it soon. They always do. The dead don't rest easy on Route 47. Would you believe me if I told you I don't remember writing those words? And would you believe me if I told you that yesterday, a new regular started showing up at 3:17 a.m.? This time it's a man in a trucker's cap. He buys the same lottery ticket every night. The same numbers that won the jackpot in 1994. The same numbers that belonged to a man who died in the parking lot that very night, heart attack from the excitement. His name was Robert Mills. And according to the timestamp on the security footage, he's been buying that ticket for 29 years. I've been reading the notebook every night now. There are so many of them. So many people who died on Route 47, all trying to finish something they started. All trapped in their final routine. And here's what terrifies me most. Yesterday, I found a new entry at the very back of the notebook. Recent ink. Fresh handwriting. New night clerk started today. Young kid needs the money for college. Name's Mike. He seems nice. Hope he doesn't end up like the others. But here's the thing, I never told anyone my name was Mike. And I sure as hell didn't write that entry. So who did? And how did they know I was coming before I even applied for the job? I've been thinking about quitting, but every time I try to write my resignation letter, my hand won't move. It's like something is stopping me. Like something needs me to stay. Last night, I found a new time card in the punch clock. Blank. Waiting. And this morning, I woke up in my car in the parking lot with no memory of how I got there. The strangest part? When I checked my phone, it was 3:17 a.m. What would you do if this happened to you? Would you quit? Or would you stay and help the lost souls find their way home?